10 famous landmarks that were put up for sale. Such precious places seem irreplaceable. The notion of selling them, as if they were mere commodities, would strike many as unorthodox, to say the least. Nevertheless, as incredible as it may seem, some of the most revered landmarks on the planet have been put up for sale. Several of them have actually been sold, a few more than once. 10 Carter's Grove Plantation. Carter's Grove Plantation occupies one of the most historic sites in the United States, a parcel of land near colonial Williamsburg, Virginia, overlooking the James River. It was privately owned for centuries before it was donated to the Colonial Williamsburg Foundation in the 1960s. The plantation proved expensive to maintain. The foundation closed it in 2007, and Carter's Grove was sold to Halsey Minor, a wealthy Virginia businessman. When Minor experienced a financial reversal and declared bankruptcy in 2011, he put the property up for sale. Chicago businessman Samuel M. Menkoff purchased it for $7.5 million in 2014. The Georgian mansion suffered from neglect during the time Minor owned it. By the late 1970s, the Hollywood sign erected on a ridge between Cahuenga Peak and Mount Lee in the 1920s to promote a real estate development was looking much the worse for wear. The Hollywood Chamber of Commerce wanted to replace it at a cost of roughly $250,000. To obtain the money, magazine publisher Hugh Hefner threw a lavish party at his Playboy mansion, selling the landmark letter by letter for $27,700 each. The fundraiser was a success. The old sign was removed, and 9 gleaming white letters were raised in its place. All seemed well until 2002, when investors decided to develop 138 acres of land they'd bought near the sign. The land had belonged to billionaire Howard Hughes, who'd purchased it in 1940. He planned to build a home on it for his girlfriend, actress Ginger Rogers, but their relationship failed. When his land went on sale in 2002, the investors bought it. Now, if developed, the acreage might change the well-known landscape dramatically. A campaign, Save the Peak, was launched to buy the land and preserve the area near the fabled sign. Again, Hefner played a significant role in preserving the landmark's location. With the purchasing deadline fast approaching, the fundraising campaign was $1 million short of the $12.5 million needed. A. Empire State Building. Earlier, two groups had disagreed about the iconic building's fate. One wanted a syndicate of 2,800 owners to retain ownership as they had since 1961. The other wanted to bundle the building with 18 other New York area properties into a real estate investment trust, REIT, selling shares in the properties to the public. REIT investors wouldn't be able to claim depreciation of the properties, but they'd earn dividends on their shares of the investment. Although there are now a number of taller structures, the 443-meter-tall, 1,454 feet, 102-story Empire State Building was once the world's tallest skyscraper. Soon afterward, the mission became a military garrison. During the Texas Revolution, 1835-36, Mexican General Antonio López de Santa Anna's army laid siege to the Alamo. They defeated its defenders, including Davy Crockett and Jim Bowie, in a bloody 90-minute battle after Santa Anna's troops breached the walls of the fortress. When the soldiers departed in 1877, the Alamo's grounds and compound were divided and sold to various buyers over a period of years. The property was modified, sometimes substantially, according to its owner's purposes. In 1883, Texas bought the Alamo, except for the convento, or long barrack, whose owner decided to sell it to make room for the construction of a new hotel in 1903. San Antonio schoolteacher and preservationist Dina de Zavala raised $75,000 from the Daughters of the Republic of Texas, DRT, a heritage group dedicated to honoring the men and battlefields of the 1836 Revolution, and the convento was purchased. The Texas legislature reimbursed the DRT 2 years later. 6. Liberty Bell. The replica of the Liberty Bell hanging in the Liberty Bell Center in Independence National Historical Park in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, has symbolized American freedom since July 4, 1776, when it rang to announce the reading of the Declaration of Independence. "70 years after it was recast the second time, it was almost sold as scrap metal. "5 Monticello. Although Thomas Jefferson (1743–1826) was never formally trained as an architect, he studied many books on the subject. Rather than selecting a stock design and hiring a contractor to supervise construction of a house he planned to build on land he had inherited, Jefferson undertook the design and supervisory roles himself in 1768. After serving as ambassador to France following the death of his wife, Martha, in 1782, Jefferson returned to Virginia to create a new Monticello. He doubled the size of the original house and added fruits and vines to its already extensive gardens. His lavish spending left his daughter, Martha Randolph, with huge debts, and she had to sell the estate. In 1836, Uriah Levy, a real estate speculator, bought Monticello. He and his nephew Jefferson Monroe Levy restored and preserved the property. The Thomas Jefferson Foundation, a non-profit organization, purchased Monticello in 1923, and the site is now operated as a museum and educational institution. It was a defense against the Ottoman Turks and is associated with Vlad the Impaler, upon whom Bram Stoker based his literary character Count Dracula. Then the communist government confiscated it from Princess Elena. After its restoration in the late 1980s, it became known as Dracula's Castle and has been a tourist draw ever since. In 2006, the property was returned to Princess Elena's son, Archduke Dominic Habsburg, then 69. It's now a museum because local authorities passed on his proposal to sell the castle for $80 million. After the sale was rejected, Habsburg again put the castle up for sale. His representative predicted that Habsburg would receive an offer of $135 million for the property. So far, there haven't been any buyers. 3 London Bridge. In 1968, industrialist Robert McCulloch was eager to attract tourists to Lake Havasu City, Arizona, then a steamy backwater. In the 1960s, English officials had discovered that London Bridge was falling down, sinking 2.5 centimeters, 1 in every 8 years. McCulloch offered officials twice the $1.2 million it would cost them to dismantle the bridge, adding $60,000 to sweeten the offer. Each stone block was marked according to its span, row, and position. There, they were reassembled, and the core of the structure was strengthened with steel-reinforced concrete. The disassembly, shipping, and reassembly cost McCulloch another $7 million, but London Bridge proved just the tourist attraction he'd needed. Lake Havasu City's population blossomed after the landmark's installation. To New Scotland Yard. New Scotland Yard, the home of London's celebrated Metropolitan Police Service, the Met, and one of the city's most famous landmarks, was sold to an Abu Dhabi investor in 2014 for £370 million, $580 million, £120 million more than expected. The buyer planned to convert the police headquarters into luxury apartments. As a result of the sale, artifacts once kept in a private black museum will now be moved to a public museum. Included among the items are the resin-filled pellet fired from an umbrella to kill Bulgarian dissident Georgy Markov on a London bridge in 1978 and cooking pots used by a serial killer to boil up his victims. The Met's new headquarters will occupy a neoclassical edifice on the River Thames near Parliament. 1. Stonehenge. In September 1915, the British magazine Country Life ran an advertisement. Stonehenge was for sale as a companion feature for a 6,400-acre piece of real estate. There were no offers for the whole, which included a mansion, farmhouse, and accompanying gardens, so the land was divided into 89 lots, each of which was auctioned separately. Lot 15 contained the Stonehenge obelisks. Lot 15 sold for a mere £6,600, or about $8,700, which was far less than the expected sales price. The buyer, Cecil Chubb, gave it to his wife, who was unimpressed by the chipped and toppled stones which were then in a decrepit state. In October 1918, the couple deeded their purchase to the United Kingdom, and Chubb was made an honorary knight. Stonehenge is now under the guardianship of English Heritage and is safe forever, said curator Heather Sabire.